Hi, I'm Nina King, Vice President and Director of Athletics at Duke University. I'm chopping it up with Buck.
Welcome to this edition of Chopping It Up with Buck. I'm Charles Arbuckle, here at a different location. You can see a lot. We're in Durham, North Carolina at Duke University, and I have Nina King. Nina, it was so good talking to you at ACC Media Football Kickoff that we kind of talked about doing this specifically. So when I sent you an email, I was a little shocked. I get an email back, hey, come on up. So thanks for having us in, and how have you been doing so far this season?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys are here. This is great to have you. Welcome to Durham on a cold, rainy day, but it'll be an exciting evening in Cameron tonight with Virginia Tech. Really excited. And thanks for coming. I am appreciative for a platform to tell my story and hopefully inspire others who are looking to do this same thing in college athletics.
Yeah, that was what impressed me the most. I'll tell you that, just understanding the task at hand of having to manage all this. You had the good fortune of being here and seeing it from working with Kevin White, which I think is great because you were COO, Chief of Staff, and then the Deputy Commissioner or Deputy Athletic Director. Tell us a little bit about each one of those roles and how that got you ready to sit in the big chair.
Sure. So just an incredible opportunity to learn from and be mentored by Kevin White. And for those that don't know, he was my predecessor as the athletic director here at Duke, but had been an athletic director for 40 years. And I was the 31st person to have worked for him to become an AD. Wow. So quite a tree. He is the GOAT.
AD tree.
Sure. AD tree for sure.
31?
31st, yep. So the opportunity to learn the business from him, I mean, there's no one better in my mind. And really, for 13 years, we worked right alongside each other here at Duke. And I didn't know it, but he was preparing me for this, whether it was at Duke or somewhere else. And so when he told me that he was getting ready to retire, I thought, oh no, I have to go find another AD to go work for, to be a chief of staff, a new department. And he said, no, you were ready for this.
And you guys did that at the Red Robin. Now, I'm not I saw that, and you said maybe the food choice could have been a more high tier, but that
it's a pretty simple eater.
Yeah, so tell me about that when he hit you with that. Were you right away thinking, yeah, I can do this, or, ooh, I don't know. What was it?
Took me some time to get there. I was very comfortable in my role, and what he did really well was mentor me and prepare me. Brought me along to every meeting. Didn't ask for a +1 for every event. Everywhere where I could learn and be in the room and be visible, frankly, right alongside him. He didn't ask. He just brought me, and so it really gave me a great opportunity to watch the inner workings of an athletic department on a university campus and interact with all of our constituents. And so, it took me some time. I was comfortable, like I said, being behind the scenes. It's a busy job, obviously high paced, but also a pretty high profile. And so I didn't know if that was something that I really, career-wise, if that was my ultimate aspiration. And so it took me some time to think about and really discern, is this the career journey that I would want to set out on? And so after a bit, decided, okay, yes, let's go for it. And it was an intense interview process. We had a search committee. And
he didn't have to weigh in because he knew he liked it, but he was like, I have to let you go.
Very good. Yeah. He was very good about that, hands off, and it's not his decision. And I appreciate that. He gave me some advice along the way, but he didn't have the answers to the test. I had to complete the test on my own. And obviously, ultimately was successful and really just thrilled for the opportunity to work with President Price. And I can't believe it's been a year and a half. Here we are.
Well, and if you go back even before that at Notre Dame, you guys had a bunch of people on the staff there that are all now ADs or college. I almost call Notre Dame, when I'm reading the articles, the college administrator university because
Right.
it was like a melting pot of people really getting ready and getting prepared for these opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, 31, the tree. You know, we had quite a staff when we were there at Notre Dame, and you know, you and I've talked about, we've got several ADs in the triangle, all three of us in the triangle that graduated from Notre Dame, which is interesting because Notre Dame doesn't have a sport management program or a, you know, sports-related major.
What is it about Notre Dame that allows that to be a breeding ground for college administrators?
I think it's, you know, the high-profile nature of athletics at Notre Dame. I mean, it's really not unlike Duke, really part of the fabric of the university, and a meaningful, very visible one. And all three of us that are here in the Triangle were very involved in athletics while we were undergrads, and ultimately working in the department there, and then spreading our wings and coming to North Carolina.
That's awesome. But if I even go back further, you know, you talked about it a little bit when we met before, but growing up in Tampa, you didn't play sports. But I say this, when people say they don't play sports, I said, well, what did you do? You were a dancer, ballet. So to me, that's still in that realm. But your mom taking a job across from the high school so you could go do your work. What was it like growing up with your mother and that experience and getting you prepared to mother and lord over or be over, help 775 kids?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying how adjacent my ballet dancing was to athletics.
I'm going to tell you, when I watch ballet dance, I mean, I'm envious. Yeah. I think I can dance. I'm a great chair dancer, but I cannot do the things, the athleticism that it takes to do some of that.
And, you know, I wasn't a professional ballet dancer by any means. We have to remember, you know, 6, 7 years old growing up doing ballet. But, you know, I was a fan, a sports fan in Tampa. It's a great professional sports town. I remember when the Rays came to Tampa. I remember when the Lightning came to Tampa. I grew up a Bucks fan way back in the orange and red days. And so, you know, it was fun to be around sport. But you mentioned my mom, you know, it was just the two of us growing up in Tampa, and we were pretty close. We obviously had to be, since we were, it was just the two of us, but she worked so hard, and I really learned the value of sacrifice and do anything for your kids so that they could have a good life. I mean, we didn't have much, but at the same time I had everything. It was so great, and I realize it so much more now that I'm a mom and I have two boys of my own, and I'm so fortunate that she moved here to Durham, and she lives with us and takes care of our kids often, and so it's fun to still have her around here.
I love the story also about when you were going to Notre Dame and you kind of were deciding. She said she wasn't going to let money be the factor.
Yep.
The contributor to stopping you, so she ended up getting a job at Delta. That probably allowed her to fly to see you, and you to fly home in the winter to get away from South Bend.
See, she's smart.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, she had to take a second job to make some money, and was smart to find one where she got some flying benefits, and certainly did come visit a lot. But you know, I mean, she didn't want the financial part to hold me back from aspiring to go to a really great university. I had a full academic scholarship at a state school, and she said, nope, go do this Notre Dame thing, and worked out pretty well.
That's awesome. I always want to know, were there times though when you hit a rough patch where you thought, I can't do this, like I can't finish law school, or I can't do this at Notre Dame? Did you hit a spot? I know I have at points in my life, but it's always interesting to hear.
You know, not so much in school. I think I was surrounded by so many wonderful people, and including my college classmates and my law school classmates. Those are some of my best friends still to this day. And so to be in it together with a really great group of friends. But I really kind of sought out and utilized the resources on my campuses, both in undergrad and law school, and really tried to find, you know, where are areas that can help me get through this journey. And so, you know, I wouldn't say it was a terribly challenging atmosphere. It was, you know, the snow in South Bend was. The first time I saw it, it was beautiful, and then I called home the next week and said, I want to come home. But you know, it just, again, I had you know, really understood the value of hard work and you know, putting my all into it, and ultimately realized great undergrad and then law school degrees.
You're a voracious reader, so that's one thing, and I'm sure you I probably wasn't as strong a student undergrad as I should have been.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I learned. But something about talking to Sporty Gerald's a venue management guy that's been around, did a show with him, and he said, readers are leaders. And that just struck me because I learned at an early age that you have to read, you have to know what's there, and you have to kind of discern for yourself. How do you translate that to the young student athletes here at Duke? I know they're all understanding of it, but even for your own kids, that's something that I think is just so valuable for anyone to have.
Yes, well, I'm going to make sure my kids watch this so that they understand and hear it from somebody other than mom.
I'll tell you, my mother, who's a single parent like yours, had me in the summer, instead of taking 5 to 10 books that the school usually said, I had to read about 20.
Oh my goodness.
Now, some of them I got away with because I knew, this is a 50-page book.
Quick one.
But that started early for me, and it got me really interested in reading.
Yeah.
And Richard Wright and, just different,
important.
people that I didn't know, but I knew their stories. I could read them and understand.
Yes, it is really important, and I certainly don't have as much time now to do it as I would like. But what I tell young folks all the time, it's important to be a student of the industry, the business, the game. And so in college, you're reading a lot for your classes and whatever subject matter that might be. But it doesn't change when you go out into the work world, the workforce, the real world, as some say. But it's, for me, I'm reading about our business, and whether it's articles or leadership books or, different business type books, so that I can kind of understand, so that I can understand trends, issues, challenges, things that are going on relative to what I'm doing every day. And so, young people that are interested in getting into college athletics, that's often the advice that I give them, be a student of the game, have some sort of working knowledge about the big issues so you can be conversant, knowledgeable about whatever is going on, and there's not a lack of things going on in college athletics.
Yeah, well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. I'm with Nina King, athletic director at Duke. We're chopping it up with Buck. We'll be right back.
At Heslop Wealth Advisors, our goal is to help small businesses develop quality retirement plans for their employees through our Lunch and Learn seminars. We provide lunch and learning tools to help your company succeed and unmatched customer service.
Chopping It Up with Buck, also brought to you by Thin Energy, thinenergy.com.
All right, we're back on Chopping It Up with Buck. We have Nina King, athletic director at Duke. So Nina, we were talking about reading, and I know, what do you have currently that you're looking at? Because I know work takes a lot of time.
It does. I'm typically, I read some articles on the internet first thing in the morning, but in my backpack, so on the airplane, which I'm on often. Right now I have Brene Brown's Dare to Lead.
Okay.
And then I've got Michelle Obama's new book in my backpack on deck.
Good. Brene Brown, my wife, wrote me into going, I'll say that. But when I went, I was so impressed with her, and she's from Texas like I am, so that was an easy sell. But I love like rumble. Instead of having meetings or different things, she calls it a rumble, so you can get into the heart of the meeting and get through just the little things about her. I think you're gonna like that book.
Good.
I might have to pick it up.
Yeah. Do a little book swap.
Yeah. So when you're not reading and the college landscape is changing as it is, how have you guys in the ACC, and Duke in particular, been able to stay with that? Because there's a lot going on in college football.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Pac-12 becoming the Pac-10 with USC, UCLA moving to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
ACC has its grant of right deals that only you guys have access to. What is happening with college football?
Yeah, well, so this is like a 4-hour show, right? Got it. So listen, the ACC is a terrific conference, and Jim Phillips is an incredible leader, one of the ones that was on staff at Notre Dame, and I'm just so grateful that he's here and leading us through these choppy waters, if you will. But we are a great group of 15 institutions, very collegial. We have very open, honest, candid conversations, and we're all in it to provide an athletic, academic experience to our student athletes in our conference. And so what is the very best experience that we can provide? And of course, all of us have different visions for our different institutions, but as a league, I'm very comfortable that in saying that we are all in this together. So of course, we're watching everything that's going on out there, and the ultimate goal is to be, bigger, faster, stronger. And so, we watch the landscape and try to think, in our own unique way, what is going to make the ACC the very best conference. And so conversations are they're great, productive conversations. We've got league meetings several times a year, and I'm really just grateful for the opportunity to sit around the table with my athletic director colleagues and have those conversations.
14 in football, 15 in basketball with Notre Dame, right? So what's interesting is, why can't you rope them into making 15 on football?
So Jim Phillips is your next guest.
I always tease when I see any athletic director, because I know they're the moving part you guys spent time there. So it's interesting. All of these ACC folks in Notre Dame says, no, we're still going to stay on this island. Jack Swarbrick was a long-time person in Indiana that I got to know, and I'm not surprised at some of the things, but it's such a big brand. Speaking of brand, what about the Duke brand? You guys have gotten new coaches, Kara Lawson, John Shire, Mike Elko, really dynamic coaches. And I know there's others, but those are the three that come to mind. Tell us a little bit about that, because you've been really instrumental in ushering those folks in.
Yeah, I mean, it is, our three high-profile coaches are all new, and then along with me, it's kind of a new day in Duke athletics, if you will. And Kara, I had the opportunity to hire while I was deputy AD and overseeing women's basketball the year before I became AD. John Shire 2 weeks after I became AD, and then Coach Elko about 6 months later. So a lot of change. But I, look at all three of those, and they are Duke, and they are the absolute best fit for their respective programs and Duke University. Frankly, they represent us so well and really understand the mission of Duke University and what it takes to win and within Duke athletics and really provide a meaningful experience for the young people that they lead. So I'm just so happy to be in the foxhole with those three, along with the rest of our coaches. I mean, we have 27 sports and so many moving parts here. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned brand and the Duke brand, and it is such a strong global brand.
It is,
I mean, it's incredible. In not quite 100 years, what this university has built itself up to be. Wow. The university is going to celebrate its centennial here in 2024, and I mean, it's just amazing how far it's come. I mean, you would think it's an old university, just kind of built on its achievement.
More time than that. That's interesting when you say that.
And athletics is, as we like to say, the front porch of the university. We'll draw you in with a basketball or a lacrosse game and come in and explore everything else we do so well here in Durham and around the world. We have a campus in China, and we're competing everywhere, and it's just absolutely amazing what this university is doing.
Now, you're considered a basketball school, but you have talked about football really being what you want it to be more of. You got to do things in the weight room, just different upgrades that have to happen. I think it was 20 years ago that things were working on. Maybe I could be wrong by year 2. You had David Cutcliffe, a great coach, and then you get Elko. You guys are, I can sense things are changing with the dynamics of Duke football as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an everything school, not just basketball. But at one point, both our soccer teams were ranked in the top 10. We were a soccer school. Right now, both we've got great spring sports, and so we're a fill-in-the-blank school at the moment. But yeah, football is incredibly important, and we haven't been shy talking about the importance of its success because it really then benefits our whole athletic department and in kind of this bigger collegiate athletics landscape. We're not shy about talking about this as a business. We need to generate revenues in order to fund the rowing program, the fencing program, all of the rest of our student athletes and their experience. And so football as a driver brings in most of the revenue, whether it's via media deals or putting folks in Wallace Wade and buying popcorn popcorn and all of the kind of ancillary things around a football game day. So it's really important for it to be successful, because if it's not successful, then TV doesn't want to put us on, and people don't want to come to games and buy popcorn. And so the success of football is really important. And I'm so excited that Coach Elko is here, and he's got an incredible staff, and there's just kind of a rejuvenated energy around Duke football. And we really realized as an administration and with President Price's support and help, the investments that we need to make so that we can sustain this program. And so, we had Coach Elko had a great year one.
That was.
And so now we need to sustain, and it is. And we have seen in the past where we've had periods of time where Duke football has been successful, and so the key is to not let it slip. And so how do we continue to make sure that we're supporting it and resourcing it in the proper way?
And what does that look like? Because you just said it best. I think it was a really good season, a little bit better than expectations, but it's always harder to follow that back up. NIL, transfer portal, there's a lot of stuff happening in college football that makes it easier to get better, but also can be challenging.
Yeah. Did you take a look at our schedule for 23 too?
I did.
A little, it gives me a little anxiety, but that's what it's all about, right? I mean, everybody's got a tough schedule, no matter who's on the schedule. So, things are changing. The landscape's changing. You alluded to the transfer portal, NIL, all of those things. There's so many things. And so how do we properly position Duke to take advantage of the change? I mean, it's here, and whether good or bad, I mean, NIL, is a good thing, but the way we're doing it is really terrible. But it is our current reality. And so how do we adapt to this moment of reality, and how do we participate and make sure that we are doing things in a very Duke-like way so that we can be successful? And so that's the challenge. That's what keeps me up at night.
Well, you don't have to say it, but I'll say it. They need a czar of college football. They need a commissioner for college football. We have said that for 10, 15, maybe 20 years now, but it hadn't happened. But what's interesting, though, is the other thing that I think you're doing a really nice job of here is diversity, equity, inclusion, and then belonging. I thought that was really neat. You teach a class on campus. I'm sure it's pretty hard to get into. I'm sure they make it. People want to get in that class right away. But just from the standpoint of diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging, tell us a little bit about that and what that means for Duke.
Sure. So, I mean, it is one of the pillars of our university that we, have the most inclusive environment where our students and ultimately our student athletes feel that they belong, as well as our employees, all of our coaches and staff. And so just recently we published a DEIB strategic plan. I'm so proud of the work that our folks within athletics have done to really put some stated goals with action under each goal, and we put it out there for the world to see so that we can hold ourselves accountable and the world can hold us accountable to make sure again that we have the most inclusive environment.
Was the feedback pretty positive for that? I would imagine it would have to be from a university that all universities have had their issues in the past, but for you guys to do that, what was that feedback?
Yeah, great feedback. But remember, it's early. Anybody can publish anything and say here's what we're going to do. And so ultimately the test will be, are we living up to what we said we're going to do, and really overachieving what we said we're going to do. And we'll see that if our student athletes and our staff and coaches are having the best experience that they can within Duke athletics. And we've got a strong culture here and a great community, a great family. And so just to ensure that this is the place that everybody wants to be, whether you're in it or you want to come into it and do this with us. We're going to make sure that it is a diverse experience across all races, ethnicities, genders, and that we're representing the most diverse environment possible for our student athletes who are a pretty darn diverse cohort.
What's been the hardest challenge or biggest challenge you've had sitting in that chair? I mean, just one or two maybe things that have just, wow, and now that you've gotten through it, you can look back as a learning experience just to help you.
Yeah, I mean, things that we've already talked about, right? Like hiring coaches is extremely hard, and thankfully I had been through it with Kevin and kind of under his guidance and leadership.
They say all athletic directors in their drawer have like a list of Well, it doesn't a drawer now. It's on
Sure.
your computer.
Sure. Yeah, a list of names.
Yeah, a list of
Yeah, I
names.
mean, you never want to get caught off guard, and you never know when you're going to need to be hiring a coach, whether a coach leaves on their own, whether you decide to separate with a coach, or God forbid something happens. And unfortunately, in our department, that did happen. Our head swim coach had passed away this past December. And so, you always need to be prepared. And I'm always kind of window shopping. When I'm watching games, I'm looking on the sidelines, looking at other coaches. And
So you actually listen to us when we're in the booth?
well, I wouldn't say that.
If you know what you're talking about, right? Well,
Right.
I got you.
So being prepared, I think,
You're just
is
kind of really surveying
Absolutely.
people that can help with the Duke brand, or just
Right.
kind of what kind of fit.
who's going to be a fit.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
because we are a pretty unique place, and not just any student athlete can get into school here,
That's a good
can
point.
compete here, and so not just any coach can really come in and work here. And so yeah, I mean, that was a huge challenge, and also, with both football and men's and women's basketball, those are quick hires, and so the intensity with which you're working. I mean, again, I'm not by myself. I'm working with a search committee. I'm working with a search firm, working with President Price and a handful of his administrators, but ultimately my decision. And so just feeling good about the preparation, and then the work in the moment, and then ultimately the decision. It's intense.
Yeah. I thought what was interesting, football has had general managers, but you hired Rachel Baker as a general manager for college basketball, and it looked like you were probably getting your phone and email were blowing up after that. Tell us what went into that, because I thought it was really neat to see that and how it played out for college basketball.
Yeah, so that is all credit to John Shire and really his vision. And this is why I can say he is the perfect fit for this job. He really took some time to think about, what do I need to be successful? And in 2022 at the time, what are the pieces that we need to put in place to move this program into the next chapter, the next iteration? There's no playbook for replacing an icon. I mean,
true.
it is absolutely amazing the way that he's kind of taken the reins. And so, identifying this general manager role, we kind of talked a lot about the title. He had a bunch of ideas, and he ultimately, we sat right here, and he said, I would like to hire this general manager. Here's who I'm looking at, and here are the roles and responsibilities. And it made a lot of sense to me. And Rachel in the job made a ton of sense. I mean, her background, what she's done in sport, not just in college athletics, but what she's done in sport over her career, really has been terrific, and she's been great for the program.
Well, a woman of color.
Yep.
And is that a stepping stone for maybe the athletic administration, AD roles, or just something along those lines? Or
It could be.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's her career aspiration, but it certainly could be. There is no linear career path to administration, and certainly not to an athletic director seat. And so, I think for people who want to be an athletic director, or really to be a collegiate athletics administrator, it's about finding your passion and really utilizing your skill set to do something that you are interested in, where you can contribute to a department in a positive, meaningful way. And so for Rachel, she is in the perfect role for her skill set and her background.
That's good. Well, we'll take another short break. We'll be right back with Nina King, athletic director at Duke University.
At Heslop Wealth Advisors, our goal is to help small businesses develop quality retirement plans for their employees through our Lunch and Learn seminars. We provide lunch and learning tools to help your company succeed and unmatched customer service.
Chopping It Up with Buck, also brought to you by Thin Energy. ThinEnergy.com.
We're back chopping it up with Buck, Nina King, Duke athletic director. It's been great spending some time with you. But one thing you've done that I was really interested in, because it's really started to grow, is women's college basketball. You were a chair on the committee for that. Tell us about that, and tell us how you saw that growing. And it's still, the Final Four for women's basketball, I'm all in.
Right?
I'm telling you,
It's
I love it. And they
exciting.
move, when you moved it to different time, it made perfect sense. I love it.
It's been really neat to watch women's basketball grow and at every level, frankly. I mean, youth participation and college athletics and the WNBA. And so, people are all into women's basketball. I had an incredible opportunity to serve on the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Committee for 4 years, and 2 of the 4 years as the chair. And it was so meaningful to me personally to be able to be a small part of something that's just so impactful on the lives of young women. And it's a lot of work now. I mean, folks think that it's glamorous.
You
We
were still
get to
doing your
select.
full-time job, but
Absolutely, we all
also,
have day jobs,
yeah,
and so 10 folks on the committee. Until last year, it expanded to 12 folks, and we all work in either institutions or conference offices. Handful of athletic directors and administrators. Watching a lot of basketball. Folks think it's just we show up and select 68 teams to participate, but it's not just looking at a team on paper. I mean, you really need to have a good understanding of the game and how they play and what style.
When you look at that, like, do they get it for you cut down and condensed so you don't have to, I was going to say you have to have it
I
that
watch
way.
the film much like coaches do,
Yeah,
and I can
almost
fast forward and I
Mm-hmm.
can watch a quarter or I
Yeah.
can watch, the end of a game if needed, kind of pick which moments. But yeah, I watched a lot of basketball and, it's fun. And then once you get to the tournament, that's where you kind of like take a breath and, okay, watch your work unfold,
let it play
right?
out,
Like see how
right?
who's beating who and how does the bracket end up. But so much fun. Unfortunately, or fortunately, was a part of the committee and the chair of the committee back in 2021 when we had the tournament in San Antonio and the weight room issue, if you will. And the weight room issue, it uncovered some really systemic gender inequities.
And the disparities.
Right. And incredibly embarrassing for sport at the time, but it really gave an opportunity for us to get things right for women in sport and specifically women's basketball. And there was really some low-hanging fruit that the NCAA and membership, we were really able to tackle, allowing the women's tournament to utilize March Madness like the men do and providing the same number of postseason opportunities on the women's side as the men's. And so, we're watching some of those changes and really seeing how they're going to bear out. But ultimately, the goal is to provide the most equitable experience possible. And what that did, it was relative to Division I women's basketball, but it caused a lot of us, institutions and conferences, to kind of look inward and on our own campuses and in our conferences, are we providing equitable experiences for females? And so I'm grateful now, I can say, that for what it's led to, for us to be able to really just ensure that we're providing equal opportunities.
Yeah, not just using Title IX as lip service, but really using it to give people that opportunity.
Yeah.
I love that, having a young daughter who played sports in high school but didn't play past that, but you're right, just making sure that they have that opportunity to participate.
Yep.
Game tonight,
Yes.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What's your pregame ritual? Do you and Coach Shire high five each other? What is it like?
Yeah, I typically don't see him before the game.
Okay.
We talked yesterday. If away games, if I'm not there, we'll talk kind of the night before on the phone and just a check-in. So I want to kind of stay out of his space. He certainly doesn't need me on game day. So my game day ritual, it depends. Today happened to be a busy Saturday full of meetings, but any given pregame, I'm meeting with a recruit and their family or a prospective student and their family talking about Duke. I always go on the radio with our Blue Devil Network folks right before, an hour and a half before, and then we've got premium spaces where a bunch of our donors and season ticket holders gather before the game, and so hit those spots and shake hands and see folks.
Well, that's great. Well, we're going to end it with the 2-minute drill. What we do is we try to let you score. And in football, you got to take it down the field and make it happen.
Right.
And these should be pretty good for you. 'Cause
Okay.
I got some intel and some recon on
All right, I'm excited. I haven't heard these yet, so.
But Beyonce tickets, do you have any?
Oh, I don't. I haven't been to a concert in forever. We go
Big
to so
Beyonce
many
fan.
events. Yes,
Okay,
and we
okay.
go to so many events, though. For work,
Yeah,
if you will.
yeah.
I just didn't even think about it.
All right. So how did you meet your husband?
You did get intel. So, went to Tulane Law School, and so I was a student in New Orleans. Late at night, met him in a bar.
Okay.
Yeah, and it worked. 15 years married and 2 kids later.
Well, but also too, one night you were going out and he hurt his ankle playing hoops.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you brought him a burrito. Was that?
Yeah, you're good. I guess that's what sealed the deal. He said, "That's the girl I want to marry."
He said, "Here's a burrito. I'm still going with
and
my
I'm
girl."
still going out. Yeah.
That is too funny.
Yeah.
Fish or steak?
Fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind? What is there a certain kind of fish?
Yeah, really kind of any light fish.
Yeah.
I'm a big sea bass person, grouper growing up in
Sea
Florida.
bass. Ooh, sea bass.
Yeah.
Oh, my wife makes a really good sea bass.
I'm
but,
coming over for dinner.
Hey, anytime. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, with your sons, what is the craziest thing they've done just to make you, when you like, oh my goodness? Because boys, we're kind of rambunctious when we grow up.
That's like every Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. I mean, it's constant chaos in my house, and every day I'm saying, "Oh my gosh!"
So you got to just rein them in.
Yeah,
huh?
all the time, the time.
But you love the energy.
Absolutely.
And you got 2 that'll grow up and they'll be mama's
Yeah.
boys.
Yes.
What are their names?
My oldest is Connor,
Okay.
and then Austin is my
All
youngest.
right. Well, you score on that one. That's a touchdown. Thank you so much for inviting us. This has been great. Really look forward to doing this again. Oh, see, we're starting to have gift
Yes,
bags.
I love it. Thank you so much.
I don't even have
this
a hat.
is good. All right.
I don't even have
you
a hat.
don't?
No,
okay.
but you take that hat and you
right
wear
here. Guys, I'm coming here, or I want you to come every
wow.
time. Look at this. Oh, this is really awesome, you guys. Thank you.
See?
You need one of these too?
yeah.
I know people, I'll tell you. This is great. Thank you. That was fun.
So thank you very much
Thank you.
for coming
Great
on
to be with
Chopping
you.
It Up with Buck.